to be here. I'm so happy to share a little bit of my story, and we have some kids from Colombia. They are also happy to meet your girls.
I would like to give a big welcome to all of our girls from Colombia and explain like how they're all from the town that you grew up in as well, and a little bit about that city. I think people will be fascinated by that.
So this is the map that we have. Oops. And this is Colombia. You guys were right, South America. And this is where I grew up. I grew up in Ibague. That's our hometown. And I grew up in a very low income area in my hometown, but chess really helped me to travel around the world, to look for opportunities. And because of chess, I then became the first woman grandmaster from Colombia, and I did that title in Russia. And I will talk a little bit more about that. And thanks to chess, I got a chess scholarship at the University of Texas at Brownsville. As you know, it's very hard to get a scholarship, but I felt so lucky that I got that opportunity. And just a little note, I didn't even know English, but thanks to the university, the team, the support that I have in the chess team, I was able to learn English and graduate from computer science. And after that, I got another scholarship from the academia. I went to Indiana, to Purdue University, to study my grad school. And then I started working at Apple since 2014. But I want to say something here. When you go to Apple or Google or Facebook, all these companies, is so competitive to get in, right? You got so many applicants, and so many people, try to get in. And one thing that really helped me was chess. When they look at the resume, they're like, "Oh, you play chess?" It's like, "Oh yeah." So they look at something very interesting. So for you girls who are starting in chess, I really encourage you to keep in chess. So I think that's mainly it. That was kind of like a small intro that I wanted to share. It was. Can you hear me, Jen?
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Now you're going to go on to the chess topic, right? Unless anybody has like one question about what you just said, we are going to have more questions at the end. But if somebody has like one thing they want to ask, well, maybe just before we move on, because we do have our special guest today. Can you tell us something about the city of Ibage? Because I mean, how many people live there, and what the city's like?
Okay, so the city is actually very close to Bogota, which is the capital. We are like less than 500,000 people, so it's a small town compared to the other ones. And we're near to the coffee area, near to the mountains. And I think we are also lucky that the weather is always not extremely hot, but it's not cold. So it's the same weather the whole year. I think, that's our hometown, called Ibague.
Ibague. And what's the best thing to see? What's the best thing to see in Ibague? I
think the best thing to see, I will say, the mountains. We are surrounded for so many mountains, and it's so green. I really love it. Maybe I'm biased, but I love the nature, and it's extremely good. And one thing, it's not only from Ibague, it's the people is so welcoming. I think we are very welcoming, and this is I would say that's one of the best things from Ibague, from Colombia, the people.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you for bringing your friends, your students. And we'd love to see some of the chess examples that you have for today.
Perfect. Yeah, I select 2 games. So let me share. So this is the first game I want to share. I am playing the white pieces, and the black pieces is the Grandmaster Karen Mobsessian. Just to give you a little bit of history there. So this is long time ago, 2006, where I used to be a kind of semi-professional chess player, and I used to play around the world. And why I choose this game, it was the first time I beat a grandmaster. And for all of you, when you play with a stronger player, we all feel afraid. We all feel like, well, this may be too much. So I want to share this game and kind of the the lessons that I want to share with you. So the first question here, so before we go to the question, so we have here the board where you can see that, you know, I am playing, this is a modern Pirc for black, and I choose usually, before I always play not the main line, but something different. I like to be creative during the game. So this is I choose this opening. As you can see, you have the rooks in the center. You have, you know, all the pieces playing together, all the pieces not attacking, but playing there. So here I will ask, what will you do with white? What will be the best move here? Not the best move, but how will you play here with white? And for the Colombian kids, I'm gonna translate it. Hola chicos, bueno, esta posición, escogí esta partida porque esta es la primera vez que le gané un gran maestro. Esto pasó en el 2006 en España. Y aquí quiero preguntar, ¿qué escogerían jugar? ¿Jugarían en el centro, en el flanco de rey? ¿Cuál sería una jugada que les gustaría hacer aquí?
All right. Do you want to maybe, a lot of times we unmute like one or two people to see what they say. So if you want to unmute yourself and give your opinion about what you do in this position, make sure to like raise your hand. Okay, let's try, and this I can call on a Colombian student as well, and we'll translate your answer if you give it in Spanish. But let's start with Tara.
I was thinking that you could maybe think about playing G4. You can also think about playing G5 a little bit later, and then you'd be forcing the knight to move, and then you can trade off the dark square bishops because, well, the bishop on G7 looks like it could become really strong, so trading them off looks like a good idea.
Okay, great answer. I think Nadia is going to expand on that in a second. Yes. But do any of our Colombian friends want to give an answer too? You don't have to this time, but just keep in mind you can definitely answer. Sarah, did you want to add something to that before we move on?
Yes, I was thinking E5 because you're directly attacking the knight, and if the knight moves, it has to move to a very inactive square. And if pawn takes, then I guess bishop could take or something like that. But it's a more forcing move to get the knight to an inactive square.
Okay.
Okay.
And Carlos Olivar chose F5. So it sounds like we have all the different possible moves here selected. Nadia, do you want to explain what you did and why?
Yeah, okay. So here I choose to play, oops. Okay. I choose to play G4, but I think the other options that people, you know, choose like E5, F5, those they maybe you need more pieces to start the attack. So that's why I choose G4. There's another thing that I always give this example to when I used to teach chess with my students who play the piano. When you play the piano, you play with one finger. It may sound, but if you play with all your fingers with the two hands, the sound sounds beautiful, right? So I think this is when you play chess, if you play with all your pieces, that's such a good way to play with as a team. So that's why I choose G4. So the idea was, you know, attack and start the attack on the king side. So that's how the game was. And then this remember the black pieces is a grandmaster. So every time that someone chooses a side to attack, so in this case, I choose the king side, then what you do is you counterattack. So either you counterattack on the same side or you counterattack in the center. So that's how the grandmaster plays. So I play D5. So here I continue with my plan, right? My plan was to support F5 and to support the advance of the pawns. So I play F5, and then I took with the G pawn, and then we have here another position. And I have to say here, when I saw this, I was like, oh, I think I'm doing pretty well. I'm gonna, you know, attack, playing, next move is gonna be F5, F6. So here I want to ask, what would you do here for black? Even though I was not playing black, but what would you do? How would you play here as a grandmaster? So it looks like I'm attacking defend in a very active way. So for the kids in Colombia, I'm going to translate. Okay. Aquí esta posición se ve que yo creo que estaba ya con mucha superioridad, ¿no? Estoy atacando, estoy en el centro, pero el gran maestro encuentra una forma activa de defenderse y jugar activo en esta posición. ¿Cuál puede ser la jugada aquí para el negro?
Yeah, and most people answered, so we can stop it now. And
Okay, perfect.
Look at that.
Wow, we have a wow, that's really good. So very nice. I like that the majority answer rook takes e5. That's a very strong move. I would say congratulations, because that's a strong move, as a grandmaster move. And this is something as one of the lessons I want to share, right? When you feel the pressure, you have to play active. And this works, for any side. And that's how the grandmasters choose that defense, playing active. So sacrificing the rook for a bishop, but then it will have compensation. So here, so this is where I was like, well, my black squares are weak, but I want to keep my plan. And this is something you should also do when when you have the position, even if the plan is wrong. I think you need to keep the plan. Or maybe sometimes you realize the plan is not the best, but you keep doing the plan. So I keep my plan, which was to attack in the king side. So I played rook f3. So my plan was that I would bring to g3. And that's how, that was kind of my idea to start attacking in the king side. So he moved king h8, and I follow the plan, right? So regrouping and moving my pieces towards the king side. So he also is reorganizing his pieces. Remember, playing as a group is the best way you can do, always playing with all your pieces. And here, okay, so this is a very interesting position. So here I was like, okay, I want to get into, I want to play rook e7, and I want to, keep the attack and keep attacking here. But I miss a very strong move here that I want to ask. What would you do here with black? For me, as I said, I miss this move from the grandmaster. So I want to ask you, what would you do here with black? And for the kids in Colombia, okay, esta posición aquí ya, la verdad que pensaba que estaba muy bien, iba a atacar en la e7, tenía todas mis piezas, y aquí se me pasó una jugada muy fuerte de las negras. ¿Cómo cree que puede jugar el negro aquí? ¿Cómo puede el negro agarrar ventaja en esta posición?
This is a really good question. Let's unmute some people for this one. Okay, let's start with Zara.
I would choose h5. So then the knight will try attacking the pawn, but then the knight on sorry 1 second. So the knight on f6 can take the white knight.
Okay, so h5. Did you say h5, right?
Yeah, she said h5. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's hear from
let's see other answers.
Excellent. What about you, Sahana?
I wanted to play bishop f8 because it not only does it stop rook e7, but it also makes puts pressure on the knight, so the rook can not move from the defense of the knight on g3.
All right.
Okay.
Let's get one more answer. Madison, did you still want to answer? Okay, I'll call on her later. Sujana, you want to put your answer in?
So what I chose was c5 because maybe later I can create like a pawn storm on white's side, and I can get in the end game. Maybe I can promote some of them to queens.
Very good, very good. I would like to ask one from Colombia. What is one? Que un niño de Colombia, ¿quién quiere responder? ¿Cuál es la pregunta aquí? ¿Cuál es la mejor jugada para el negro?
Sí, Taliana, Vanessa.
Sofía, hablen en español, que le están escuchando.
Sí, pueden hablar en español y yo traduzco.
D4.
Okay, D4. Okay, someone choose D4. Okay. So,
Sofía o Michael, habla.
Okay, it's okay. No se preocupen, vamos a tener más preguntas. Okay, so I see in the poll too that there are like 2 moves that people is interested in, right, Jen?
Well, it's 3 actually. D4, Bishop F8,
Oh, that's true.
And Bishop F8, and then Bishop H6. Okay, you're right. Though.
That's very true. Yeah. Okay, so let's see for the people who are choosing D4. So what happened with D4? It looks like it's winning for black, right? It's a double attack. But here there is something called intermediate move, right? And it doesn't work because of this move. So, and it becomes very, very hard for black to defend the position. So D4 doesn't work because of that. And that's why, because white is attacking rook D7, this is the move I miss. Bishop F8. I forgot the name of one of your girls say this move, and she gives a very good explanation.
Yeah, I think it was Sahana. So good job, Sahana.
Yeah, good job, because this is protecting Bishop D7. But most important here, as I said before, this little example playing the piano with all your pieces. Look at this. The Bishop protects the E7. It gives the rook on G8 the chance to attack G3. The queen attacks G3, and the bishop will also play on C5. So it's going to take advantage of the weak squares, the black squares that are weak, and then just playing with all the pieces. So that's such a strong move that I miss it, and it was the best move for the grandmaster to play. So here it's almost not totally over, but kind of white is totally losing in this position. So I decided to keep going. So what I did, let's see. So what I did was rook f3, and then the plan of the grandmaster, bishop c5. And as I say, that was the problem. You just keep going. Okay, and here when the position is not, in disadvantage, you have to keep playing active. You have to keep the patient and keep playing active. So here I want to ask, how would you play active, even though the position is in disadvantage? What would you do here?
Right, for the kids in Colombia. Oh, go ahead. Oh, yeah, translate. Thank you.
Yeah. And so for the kids here in Colombia, para los niños en Colombia, ¿cómo jugarían aquí con las blancas? Que estoy perdido, es una posición inferior, pero ¿cómo podemos jugar aquí activamente?
And that's the theme of your lesson today, to keep fighting even when everything looks bad. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I think this is a very good lesson for the kids that they are, at the beginning with, you have to keep control of yourself. You are losing, and sometimes I did it, and I think, Jennifer, you have also done it, right? You demotivate yourself. You're like, oh, I'm losing, and then we lose control of our emotions. So here is where we have to keep that fight, and then playing active. So I see in the poll that correct. Everyone thinks that playing active here will be. I think we closed the poll, right? Or
yeah, we can stop it. They're totally crushing it, though. You guys did a good job here. So Queen H6, and that's the idea: playing active, one way to play active is with tactical threats and going to the king. So that's what I did. I played Queen H6, and keeping that fighting spirit is go with the rook. And also one thing is, doesn't matter if it's a grandmaster, woman grandmaster, you keep that fight. So that was the move. And then here, black played bishop d4. And then why bishop d4 is a blunder? So I want to ask that. Why bishop d4 is a blunder? So that's the next question. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have that as a poll too.
Yeah,
I'll put that up. This one is tough.
Yeah, this one is tough, but I think you kids are going to find it. Para los niños en Colombia, ¿por qué alfil de 4 es una mala jugada? ¿Cómo podemos con las blancas continuar? ¿Qué jugada harían aquí? Es un poco complicado, pero yo creo que lo pueden encontrar. So for the girls there also, it's a little bit complicated, but I think you can find a move. Okay. So we have some answers here.
Yeah, you want to call in people again? Madison, what would you say?
I would say F6.
Okay.
It's blocking the bishop from
Mhm.
protecting the king.
Okay. Okay. Let's see if we can have another answer.
Somebody who hasn't gone yet, Lila.
I was thinking queen h4 because it's a fork. And if they take your rook, then you go queen takes d4. And let's say if f6, you can take because the knight isn't taking your queen because it's pinned.
Okay.
Great. And let's take one more. Shreya.
Yeah, so I was also thinking to play f6 because if any of the pieces take the pawn, then you can take the piece because the knight was obviously pinned. And then you could, because after f6 you block the attack, you block the bishop from protecting, you can play queen f8 and then go for mate.
Okay. Okay. That's so F6. That's your move. Okay. And F6 is actually looking at the poll. It's like most of the people want to play F6. Most of the kids want to play F6. I think we can close here the poll. And I believe Lila. No, sorry. How do you say the name?
Lila.
The person. Lila. Okay. Here the move was queen h4. So this is a very I would say not only strong, but it's just taking advantage of the blunder of your opponent. So here what happened is the grandmaster made a mistake to play bishop d4, and he totally blundered queen h4. So why is a blunder? Because it's double attack, right? The rook and the bishop basically is losing a piece. And this is another lesson I want to share with you. We all made mistakes, right, Jen? I think you have also blundered in a game, right, Jennifer?
Oh yeah. Only one time though in my whole career. Just kidding.
No, it's not true. Right? We all made mistakes. Even this year, I know you girls know Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen, he blundered the checkmate in 3. It was blitz game, but still, so we all make mistakes. So this is that's why you have to keep fighting. You have to keep playing active and be ready for those blunders, right? Be ready when your opponent make a blunder, you're gonna take advantage of that. So that's what happened. And that was kind of the, at the end more moves happened, but that was kind of what happened in the game. Then I took d4 and then that's it. That's how, after many moves I won, but that was the key moment that I wanted to share with you. So, be ready when your opponent makes a blunder. That means, you have to be there playing active and pay for that. Okay, so it looks like I'm taking a little bit longer. So I think we will go to the next position. That's okay, Jennifer?
Sure. So you ended up defeating this grandmaster.
That's correct. So this was, after many moves, it was at the end game, but I end up beating the grandmaster position, the current position, and it was my first time I beat the grandmaster, so I was extremely happy.
Awesome. And can you just show us what the final position was?
Sure. So let's see. We play. We play different moves, and then here he resigns, right? So I keep the advantage, I keep the piece, and then in this position he just resigned.
That must have felt good after the game,
yes, I totally agree. Yeah, that was really cool. It feels so good when you beat your first grandmaster, any title player. It feels really good.
What did he say after the game?
It was interesting because he told me like, well, I thought I was winning, and like, what happened? I just make up a mistake, and he actually congratulated me for the topic of today, that fighting spirit, right? Don't give up even when you are losing, and I think that's my message for you girls.
Yeah, I mean, Queen H4 is not that obvious of a move. It kind of came from nowhere. That was a really good move. Double attack.
Correct. Double attack. Yeah, it always worked, the tactics. Okay, so let's move to the next game. This is a little bit shorter, and it just only 2-3 questions. But before I start, let me give you this kind of like emotional background here. So this is a game in the Chess Olympiad of Khanty-Mansi. This was in Russia in 2010. Gosh, it's a long time ago. And this game is important because if I win, I became the first woman grandmaster from Colombia. So at that time, there was no grandmasters in Colombia. And also, I kind of knew this was my last Olympiad because I was choosing into the academia, and it's hard to, when you go to grad school, and it's hard to play tournaments like a chess Olympiad. So it was a very emotional and very, difficult tournament for me. I was very nervous. So in this position, and that was kind of my background that I wanted to share with you. So in this position, it looks very equal, right? If you look at the position, look, black has a pair of bishops. White also have pair of bishops. The rooks are, my rooks is in the center. Her rook is also in the center. So it looks pretty equal. And if I make a draw, I still have a chance to become grandmaster, but it was hard. And if I lose, then that's it. Game was over for me to become grandmaster. So that was my the personal kind of a story I wanted to share here with you guys. So here, what would you do here to play different? To take a risk? Remember, you can become a grandmaster if you win this game. So what would you play here with white? And for the kids in Colombia, let me just say a little bit. Esta es una posición muy importante para mí, porque esta fue la partida que me convirtió en primera gran maestra de Colombia. Y aquí ven la posición muy igualada, es muy difícil encontrar algo, pero tomé el riesgo. Entonces quiero preguntarles, ¿cómo tomarían ustedes aquí el riesgo con las blancas? So let's ask the poll, what will you do here with white?
Well, the poll kind of asks whether a move is good, so maybe we can just get in the chat.
That's true. Okay, that's true. So the move is too maybe, yeah, I should have. Okay.
Any ideas? No, that's okay. Any ideas in the okay, well, Melina has suggested a move that we have a poll about. Bishop takes G6. What do you guys think about that? Is that a good move?
Exactly. That was the question. Yeah. Think about it. You're losing a piece, or you're giving up a piece, and the position is quite, I cannot lose because then I will not become grandmaster. So do you think it's worth to take the risk, or it's better to play safe? It is a difficult position, and I can also share that it was a difficult position for me too.
All right, Tori, you wanted to be unmuted. What did you have to say?
I was thinking definitely, because thinking on the storyline here, you have to take risks to win. I don't feel like this would be too risky, because if they take with either pawn, then the bishop on d6 is hanging and you just won a pawn. And if they decide to take your bishop, well, it's you can take with the queen. And I feel like even though you might be down some material, you might have more attacking chances than before.
Okay, so that's a very good answer. Someone else want to share?
Does somebody want to add anything to that? What about our Colombian friends? Anybody from Colombia want to add something to that?
Yeah, alguien de Colombia quiere decir si alfil por G6 es buena o es de pronto muy peligrosa o no, o definitivamente no se jugaría. ¿Qué piensan alguien de Colombia?
Pues que es buena jugada porque
pienso que es muy peligrosa.
I heard buena jugada.
Buena jugada, correcto. Buena jugada, pero peligrosa. So that's right, Jennifer. They say good move, but I love the answer that you have there. Yes, but not totally sure because it looks risky. So So as I say, this was a very hard moment, but I took the risk. And I like the first person who answered that says that sometimes you have to take the risk. And this is in real life too. You don't have anything clear, right? I didn't, it's hard to calculate all the moves, but I have to take the risk. Maybe I have to take the chance. It maybe work, maybe it doesn't, but I have to take the risk and take advantage of the king that it was unsafe. So that's what I did. I played bishop g6. And as I said, if they take, if they take with either of the pawns, if they take with h or sorry, if they take with the h pawn or with the f pawn, the bishop d6 is hanging there, so that would be a bad move. So the move is bishop take bishop, and here I continue with the plan, right? So what was the plan? The plan was to attack and take the risks, and that was what I did. So look at this position. As I said, this position looks, I'm not winning. I sacrificed the bishop for 2 pawns, but I took the risk. I took the chance to see maybe she can make a mistake, maybe she can blunder through, or maybe the attack could be successful. I did. So I first, she played h6 because I wanted to, give the space to the king. So I keep playing, check, check. And I wanted to see if she repeat moves, because this is also very typical, and Jennifer can also agree on that, right? Some players, when they play with someone weaker, they don't want to make draws, so they keep forcing the position, right, Jennifer?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so I took advantage also of that. It's like, well, maybe she's gonna think like, oh, I'm gonna beat this, person from Colombia, so I'm just gonna take the risk. So she played king h7, and then here, I think this is another question here. So what would you do here? What would be a move to keep the attack or keep the tension? How will you play here with white? And for the kids in Colombia, ¿cómo jugarían acá? La idea que al principio hice fue tomar el riesgo. No tenía calculado todo, pero tomé el riesgo. Bueno, así como en la vida, algunas veces tienes que tomar el riesgo. Pero hay que atacar, hay que jugar, hay que jugar tácticamente. Entonces aquí, ¿cómo jugarían con las blancas? Okay.
All right.
So we have good people. A lot of people are answering here.
Let's pick on somebody we haven't called on today. We haven't called on Ananya today yet. What do you say?
I would play h4 because I want to go h5 and then go queen g6. And then if there is rook g8, then my idea was queen f4 with the idea of going to queen f7. And then h5 is also a threat that you can still have. And you can also go queen f6, attacking the e6 pawn, threatening to win it.
Okay, cool. I like that. Maybe bringing the pawn to the attack, helping the queen. Yeah. Do we have another answer?
Another answer. Let's see. Any Colombian friends? What about Siri? I haven't called on you yet.
I was thinking maybe about queen e5, because then I can kind of try getting the queen into the center, and next thing maybe kind of like moving the rook my rooks up, like to kind of make a rook maneuver, so then I can kind of like take control of the area where black is.
Okay, all right, Siri. Okay. Queen e5 actually is the most popular move.
That's correct. It looks good. It looks good. I like the game. The moves queen f5, h4. But here, remember that I have to always try to keep the attack on the king. The king is in a weak position. So I decide to play queen f4, right? Attacking the king. And we remember that when the king is weak, you have to enter from the rank or trying to enter with your pieces. So queen f4. And I'm not going to say too much because I want for you girls to find the next move. So queen h4, what was the idea of queen f4? So here plays rook takes d1. So what would you do here? And this is kind of our last question here. Rook d1. What do you think about rook d1? Rook takes d1.
And I don't have a poll for this, but let's just hear what people have to say.
What do you have here?
Vanessa, Stefania, do you want to answer? I think she had her hand up. Vanessa? Let's see. I'm trying to unmute you.
Vanessa?
If not, you can put it in the chat.
Hello, yo lo creo que es dama E4.
Dama E4. Okay. So she was saying that it could be Queen E4. Let's see. Do we have other answers here?
Yeah, we got a lot of people in the chat giving the right move. Rania?
Yeah, I liked Queen F7 as an in-between move before taking on D1.
Okay. Jen, I think should we continue here or do you have other? Okay.
No, that's perfect.
Okay, so here, correct. The move was Queen F7. And how do we call these moves? Do you know what is the name of this move? So before I play Rook D1, before that I play Queen F7. Do you know how to say these kind of moves?
Rania says intermediate move. Melina says Wishinzug. Carissa says intermezzo. And you're all right. It has so many different names. What about in Spanish? What do you guys call it in Spanish?
Oh, actually, I know those names in English. Intermediate move. That's correct. Se llama jugada intermedia. Intermedia. Para los chicos de Colombia, jugada intermedia, ¿verdad? Ese tema lo conocen. So Rook D1, it is a blunder. And she blunders, right? So the position could be also dropped, just moving the king, trying to, my plan was to play Queen F7. So here she blunders and play Rook takes D1. And then the intermediate move, right? Then this is the moves are, remember what I said before, be ready when your opponent blunders, right? And how do you be ready playing active and with tactical threats? And that's what happened. So why is a blunder? Because after I have this, it's over for black. The rook is gonna go to D7, and then there is no way to protect the G7 unless you give up your bishop. So that's what happened. So after many moves, I end up winning, but I just want to share this is, try to Queen C6 to give checkmate on G2, but F3, and then there is no other solution that give up the bishop, and that's what happened. I took the bishop, and I won this endgame at the end.
Nadya, do you mind going back and showing us if we hadn't played Queen F7 check, what would have happened?
Perfect. Okay, yeah. Perfect. Yes, okay. So what happened if I play, Rook D1, and if I didn't do the intermediate move? So let's see, I play something like Rook here, right? So the difference here is, okay, let's see if I have, what will you do, Jennifer? What will you play here?
Well, I was thinking about playing King. Actually, it's not that obvious to me. That's why I asked.
No, it is hard. It's not
I think I might. No, I mean, it's obviously better because I have a move to stop Queen F7, but I want to play Rook F8 and I can't. And if I play King G7, you play Rook D7 check.
Yeah, I think this is what you say. It's not an easy position because it looks like it's also kind of losing, right?
Oh, Rook G8 maybe. Rook G8.
Exactly. Yeah. That would really. I want to show also why this one may not work, because I still have this one check. But what happened with Rook D8 would be good for black. Let's see if we play check, right? And then I move the king, and it looks like I'm gonna win the bishop, right? But what happened here?
Yep, Queen D1 mate.
Queen D1 mate, right? So I think that was the line that she thought that she wanted to play. So I didn't.
But you would have had Queen F6 check instead, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I think she analyzed this line, and she thought that okay, maybe it's kind of like I protect the bishop in an active way, and she thought that was the plan that has that.
But Rook G8 is a good move, I think, because
sorry, I was going to say that the move that you mentioned, this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the idea to protect and arrive to this one too. Yeah.
Yeah, and this I think holds on because it's like it's nice. Rook G8's a great move because it attacks and defends at the same time, right? It attacks G2.
Perfect.
And it defends laterally.
And this goes to what the topic for today too, right? That one way to play active is with tactical threats, right? So you with the rook, you play rook G8, you protect G7, but you at the same time you are also attacking G2. So
okay, so we're Nadia, this is a very fun part of the class for about 10 to 15 minutes. We have questions for Nadia. And if you have any questions for our Colombian friends, you can we also have like time for one of those. But let's mostly focus on questions for Nadia to keep it moving. And let me see. We've already getting some. Do people let me know if you want to be unmuted or if you just want me to ask your question in the chat? What is your favorite thing about chess? Do you have any family that also plays chess? Asks Sujana.
Okay. Questions about chess?
What's your favorite thing about it?
Okay. Yeah. So for me, that's a very interesting question. For me, I like that the strategy of the position and how many combinations it has. Even I don't play now competitive, but I see the games and I see new moves. And I was like, wow, I played for more than 20 years and there are still new moves. And that's what I think is why I admire chess, that you can see so much diversity, so much new strategies, and so much new ideas in a board of 64 squares. And for a family member, my dad is here. He was the one who introduced me to chess. We have a really great passion for chess.
Nice. And let's go with Keela. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask your questions?
Yeah. How did it feel to be like the first grandmaster in Colombia?
And can you say it in Spanish too, Keela? Because you're...
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
¿Cómo se sintió ser la primera gran maestra en Colombia?
Oh, qué bonito. Okay. Well, I actually am going to answer both in Spanish and English. Like I think I want to share this with the kids also in Colombia. First, it took me so many years. It's I fight for so many years. It was more than 8 years, and I think it gave me a lesson for life, that you have to have patience and you have to have perseverance and you have to work hard. And sometimes things don't happen when you want. And I think that was a lesson for life. But in terms of how I felt, it was so much joy. It's like, I don't know, when you finish a degree, or when you're in school, you're too small, but when you finish the year and you have all straight A's, I just so much joy. And I always say I wanted to be the first one, but not the only one. So my mission after I became Women Grandmaster was to help other women in my country. I'm going to change that one a little bit in Spanish. Is that okay, Jennifer?
Yeah, great.
Okay. So la pregunta fue cómo me sentí cuando fui gran maestra, y quería decirles, compartirles, porque no he compartido con los niños del club, fue muchos años de sacrificio, muchos años de perseverancia, y es una experiencia de vida lo que me dio, que hay que seguir trabajando fuerte. No siempre las cosas se dan cuando uno quiere, pero hay que luchar cada día. Así que ese fue mi mensaje de cómo me sentí cuando llegué a ser gran maestra. Okay,
Wonderful.
Jan.
Great question.
Okay, yeah.
Sophie asks, Sophie, did you want to be unmuted? You had a great question. Okay, no, she asked, who inspired you when you were growing up?
Yeah, I think for role models, Judy Polgar has been always my role model, and I admire her in general as a person, but as a player. And when I was a kid, I tried to emulate what she did. So I was playing with boys, only with boys. And for me, she was my role model.
Awesome. Sahana?
What do you think was the main thing that you studied that propelled you forward?
Oh, okay. So for me, it helps the chess tactics. As I say, we didn't have a strong grandmaster, a strong coach. I grew up in a very small town. In Colombia, it's very difficult to, get the sponsorships. So I remember I have one book. It was extremely big, but I do all the puzzles there. I remember 1,000 or more. And I consider myself very dedicated. If I have to train 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, I train that, and I translate that dedication that I did to chess to my work and to my life. But what it helped me was tactics. It was the thing that helped me the most. So I have some questions from Colombia, right? There are some kids that want to ask some questions, and I'm going to translate for them. So maybe they can ask the question. Para los niños de Colombia, para hacer la pregunta. Sofía, si quieres hacer tu pregunta, o Michael.
Sophia had a question. Do you want to say it on camera, Sophia, or do you want me to read it out loud? Let's see if you can say it on camera. Good question.
Sí. Sofía, puedes decir la pregunta y yo te ayudo a traducirla.
No tiene sonido. No tiene sonido.
No tiene sonido. Okay. ¿Qué tipo
ya,
de
no te escuchamos, Sofía?
Hágale, Sofía.
Sofía, dale.
I don't think it's working, but she asks, ¿qué tipo de ejercicios recomienda para el calentamiento?
Okay, correct. So the question Sophia asked is, what kind of exercise do you recommend, kind of like a work for the training? When you go to training, what kind of exercise you do at the very beginning? That's a question for all of you, and also for Jennifer. What do you recommend before starting the training session as a kind of like workout? What do you do, or what do you recommend to do?
Before a training session?
Or, when you start training, or when you start, analyzing or something. Here, what kind of exercises? Like the soccer players, they always take the ball and they just play with the ball, or the basketball, they do some kind of warm up. Kind of like warm up. What do you recommend for warming up?
I guess I'm easier. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I think it depends on the situation and what kind of training you're doing, but trying to maybe remove distractions is usually really good. That would be a good thing. But it's a really good question, because it is important to get into that right zone of training. Totally.
Exactly. Maybe I would like to hear someone from the girls. What do you do to warm up before you start like a chess lesson or like a chess tournament? What do you do to warm up?
That's a great question. Anybody want to answer from our American friends? Carissa, do you want to answer? And you can maybe ask your own question too.
So I like to do tactics, and I also study my openings before a tournament.
Yeah, good stuff. Great stuff.
Good.
Puzzle Rush says Violet. And Puzzle Battle and Puzzle Rush says David's iPad. Rania, did you want to answer the question or ask your own question?
Can I do both? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
So when I like to warm up, I have a book of positions with positional moves, I guess, because I find that helpful, like when I'm warming up. And then I also do tactics as well.
Nice.
Yeah. My question was, what was the hardest part of your chess career? And then what was the most rewarding part?
What is the hardest part? What was the other one?
What was the most rewarding part?
Oh, okay. I think the hardest part was when I spent 4 years just playing chess, and I said, if I didn't reach the woman grandmaster, I will come back to Colombia and start my career. But at that point was the hardest, because I spent 4 years just playing chess and I didn't do the grandmaster title. And so I have to come back, and I feel like a failure, right? I felt like, I spent so many years trying to become grandmaster and I didn't. And I think it happened to all of us. I mean, you girls are too young, but sometimes we feel like, we try, we fail. But life, you work hard and, keep that faith that things are going to turn out well. That happened to me. So I came back to Colombia, and I started looking for universities, kind of getting out of chess. But at that point was when I got the chess scholarship in Texas. And that was the same time kind of what I felt like a failure. was at the same time, I felt like was so rewarding. Like it was worth the time I spent playing chess. So it was difficult, but it was, I love it. And I think I love the game. And I'm so happy to see all of you here. And because this is what I want to, encourage girls playing chess. And it has changed my life. And I think it can change the life of anyone there. So just want to share what the girls share for the answer for the kids in Colombia. La respuesta es que algunos dicen quitar desconcentraciones como la música o algo, concentrarse. Y la otra es, algunos hacen puzzle rush, los problemas de táctica. Es una buena preparación que hacen para calentamiento.
And we also have a lot of other questions that your dad is posting in the chat.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is for, I don't think we can ask this to everyone, but some of them are, really good questions. Porque la defensa siciliana es una apertura de las más jugadas. That's my favorite opening, the Sicilian.
Oh, nice.
Natalia asked that.
How about you share some thoughts? Why do you think? Because in the Queen's Gambit we saw that, right? Playing Sicilian a lot. Why Jennifer? Why do you think Sicilian is such a famous opening between players?
I think because people want to avoid symmetry from the very beginning. And by the way, we had a similar question from Paula Medina, who asks, ¿cuál es la apertura que practican con mayor frecuencia? Sorry for my bad.
No, I love it. You did such a good job in the Spanish.
And so that means which opening do you play with most frequency? And I love the Sicilian for both colors. What about some of you guys? You can write in the chat. I know a lot of new players. Joko Piano is a really common opening. Roy Lopez.
That's true.
And then we have a question from, no, I think those are the main ones we got. Other questions that we've kind of gone over, like the best way to train and what motivates you in chess. Does anybody who want to answer the motivation question, who also wanted to ask a question? Maybe Zara? Zara, do you want to answer that question? That's by... that is a question from Maciol. And then also ask your own question, Zara.
Okay, so with the motivation to play chess, what I usually do, I just try focusing on all the things that I want to improve on in chess. And a question I have for Miss Nadia is that what was one of the biggest struggles you endured during your chess playing years?
Well, that's a very good question. I think, but there were many struggles, but I think at the beginning is, for me, was finding a good coach was hard for me. And it was a very, very hard struggle. That I would say that was one. But the one that I struggled the most was controlling my feelings. What it means, I don't know if it happened to you, but when I lose, I get so angry. It was so hard for me to improve that. And I was getting upset. And then the next day I probably lose because I was still furious with myself. And I think that's what I struggle. And I struggle even nowadays when sometimes I play Blitz. Controlling those emotions, I think, is a key. And Jennifer can also share that it's so hard that you feel like losing or winning and you feel so angry with yourself, right? It's so hard. But that was the challenging part for me. So I say coach because having that person that helps you to control your emotions, but it comes from you. And I think that was a very challenging part for myself.
Joshini, you wanted to answer the question about what motivates you in chess. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
What motivates me in chess is when the thought of winning and making my dad really proud of me. That motivates me. And I have a question for you. What's your advice to chess players?
Okay. I'm going to share your answer with the kids in Colombia because I think it's such a beautiful answer. La pregunta que cuál es la motivación y ha respondido que le motiva cuando ella gana y su papá se pone muy feliz. Yo creo que es una motivación muy bonita y yo creo que muchos de los niños acá también la comparten, de que el papá o la mamá poner feliz a la familia. I totally agree with you. It was such a good motivation for me that, my dad see my victory or my mom. And then when you play for your country, Colombia, so that's such a great answer. And then the question, could you repeat the question again? Sorry,
what's your advice for chess players?
What is the advice for chess player? I have to say that I have changed my mind a little bit. I think chess now is having a new kind of phase, and the way I trained was different than the way nowadays you can train. But in general, my advice is being consistent in working hard. I guess, some people may disagree, but if you work hard, you can translate that not only to chess, but in real life. And I think chess really, sometimes it's hard because you see your rating is so low, you feel like you're not doing anything, but it really gives back all the work that you have done. It comes back to you, later on. And you will see that in real life. You study for a test, sometimes maybe you fail, but you see at the end, you pass the class and you learn. So for me, the advice is working hard. And I think it's not only for chess, but in general, have that persistence to do that.
That's a great answer. And we got a question. I'm gonna actually go with Marissa now, and then I got another question from a Colombian girl, Sophia. Marissa, you want to unmute and mention your motivation and your question?
Sure. So, what motivates me is the fact that at my school, I'm one of the few girls. So I think it's important to show that we can do it all too, I guess.
Very good.
Kind of cliche, but it's okay. So, and my question is, when you were younger, you said you didn't learn English until you went to college. So I was wondering, what was that like going to international tournaments with a language barrier, I guess?
Yeah, I love your answer. And actually, I from chess and then I moved to computer science, and we're the minority. So I love that answer because it's so good to be represented. Well, it was hard because I am a little bit old. So before we didn't have all this YouTube or TikTok and all of this, we didn't have that, right? And also, I was, as I said at the beginning, I grew up in a very low-income family, a low-income area where internet was limited. I didn't have a computer until I was 20 years old. So it was hard. It was really hard. So going to the tournaments, I remember I was doing with the hands and trying to communicate. It was also fun because I have friends. I think. Anna Rudolph now become so famous in chess, but I remember I became friends with her. It was only with hands, and after that we talked. But I remember also met Pico, other grandmasters, and we were playing very young age, and I couldn't communicate anything. So it was really hard. But that's one thing also I want to mention there, that once it give you if someone gives the opportunity, you have to take the advantage, and that's why working hard is so important, because I didn't know English and I took the advantage, and I told the university, give me 6 months and give me the opportunity and I will do it. And I did the same strategy I did with chess. You train, you are so organized. So that was what it was hard for me in the tournament, but that's thankfully I learned English, and I still have bad English, my accent and some words, but it's it was worth it, all the hard work I did to learn.
Oh no, you're doing it. You're so amazing. So successful in both chess and outside. That is the dream. Sofia asked me a question. ¿Qué libros recomienda para mejorar los finales? What books do I recommend to improve the endgames?
That's a very good question.
And yeah, I know chess Spanish at least. Doboretsky's Endgame Manual. I also like Jeremy Silman's endgame book. And if you don't have those books, I know people are spending a lot of time online, but still there are really good tools on like Lichess and chess.com, like endgame drills where you practice your endgames. Endgames are so important, especially the pawn endgames. That's like number one to me, I think, for beginning and intermediate. When you get advanced, rook endgames are the most important. Great question, Sophia.
That's a great advice, Jen. I think at the very beginning to show people so much information, but I like that, and I totally agree with you. Pawn endgames at the very beginning is the first step to understand the minor pieces, and moving ahead, the rook endings will help.
Shreya wanted to tell me what motivates her.
Yeah, so what motivates me is that I'm really lucky to be a girl in playing chess because not a lot of girls play chess. And I'm really lucky that I'm learning chess, and that's what motivates me. And something that also motivates me is doing a lot of tactics because I can see what they're going to do, and then it just surprises me and it makes me really excited and happy. And then if I'm in a happy mood, I get to win games. So that's what motivates me. And my question is that how did you and your father learn chess?
Okay.
Is it passed from generations, or is it like you learned it somewhere, like you saw it?
That's not nice question. That's very nice. So my father at the beginning, he hesitated to teach me because he thought it was, so controlled by men, and as I say, it's so hard in Colombia sometimes. But at the end, he showed me the game, and I feel like maybe, as you say, past two generation, it was in my blood that I still love chess. I still see games, even though I don't play tournaments. I have seen broadcasts. I have seen Jennifer doing the broadcast. I have seen the top players. I still love it, and I think my dad passed to me is that love for the games, right? So it doesn't mean that even if I'm not there playing, I still love it and I enjoy it seeing the game.
I have one question for your dad. What was the most proud moment of you as a chess dad?
Okay. Padre, una pregunta para ti. ¿Cuál fue el momento que te sentiste más orgulloso de mí ajedrecísticamente?
El momento más orgulloso es cuando empezó a jugar con hombres. Tenía 14 o 15 años y empezó a ganar partidas porque había mucho machismo y todavía pues hay senderos de eso, o sea, se siente uno muy bien.
Okay, so as I say, my dad, his answer was his proudest moment was when I started beating men, because I started playing with men in the tournament. So as I say, we were following Judith Polgar model, right? Like playing with men. So he feels the proudest because we live and we still have that problem that is very machismo, right? That is, it's controlled by men, and when a girl beat a boy or a man, it's like, well, something happened. So he feels the proudest when I start beating men and beating tournaments with kids. He felt like that was such a good example for community and in general to bring women in chess.
I love that. That's such a great answer. Papa Ortiz. Violet,
Yeah.
Violet, you want to ask your question real quick?
So my question was if you think that setting chess goals based on rating is detrimental, because I've heard from a lot of coaches that you shouldn't focus too much on your rating.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't do it. I did it. You focus, your rating is going up, your rating is going down. But as I said before, at the long term, it really knowledge, it kind of adjusts. I used to do this analogy when you have a library, when you're putting the books, sometimes it's like a mess, but when you organize your books, it really looks good. Not only the books, but the knowledge is getting to you. So that's happened with the rating. The rating at the beginning, think about it, the library is so, everywhere. And that's why the rating could go up and down. And it's just a number. It's a number. But I understand. I was a chess player. I get upset when I was losing rating. But I think the most important is that you focus on how much you are learning, right? How much you are really taking into your library of knowledge. And I think this is for real life too. Sometimes we can take, maybe we failed exam, or we didn't do well in one exam, but are we really learning? Are we really taking the concept? Because at the long term, that's what it matters, that we are really going into the direction of knowledge. And as I say, the long term, it really, is worth it to spend time. So the rating, I would say, yes, don't think about it. It's a number that just go up and down. Focusing how much you're learning, that's the most important for me.
And that's wonderful. And Maceo, from our Colombian friends, wanted to answer the question about what motivates him.
Michael, ¿quieres responder la pregunta que te motiva?
Pues yo creo que intentar tener un mejor futuro y pues demostrar que, no se necesita ser una persona muy inteligente, sino que pues, como que, no sé cómo explicar, pero como demostrar lo poco que uno sabe.
Okay. He was a little bit confused how to explain, but a little bit of the translation is like, what he motivates from chess is like, it encourages you that even though it's not how much smart you are, I think that's what I understand, is that motivation that you keep your brain and keep learning, and you can show that with the game.
Nadia, what does Garofales mean?
What is what?
What does Garofales mean? Somebody asked me how to stop making errors, Garofales. Errores, Garofales. But
okay, yes. Yeah, that's a good question. How to stop the blunders. So sometimes you blunder the queen, you blunder, the horrible, kind of blunder. But those that are very,
okay,
easy, blunder the queen, blunder bishop, blunder something. How can you stop to do that?
Well, if I knew the answer to that, man, I would be very, very successful.
Famous.
But that said, I do think one way to do it is always look for positions when there's a lot of dynamism, when there's a lot of possible captures and checks. Like in Nadia's game, like a lot of her moves, like queen to h4 or queen to h6, they weren't captures and checks, but they were threats. So you need to just be on alert for moments like that, and you can either avoid blunders or seize on them by your opponent. Do you want to translate that? Because that was for one of the Colombian students.
Yeah. So, dice, para los errores garrafales, una cosa que recomienda es jugar dinámicamente y jugar dinámicamente con amenazas. Jugar siempre con amenazas y dinámicamente. Y como lo vimos en la apertura, ¿no? En las partidas que mostré, es jugar esas jugadas dinámicas de táctica.
And one very quick question from Siri, and then Madison wants to make a comment, and then I think we have to say goodbye.
Yes,
sadly.
Yes.
It was so fun. Siri, your quick question.
Question is, what's your favorite chess book? Like, you use a lot.
What is the? Could you repeat the question? I couldn't.
You said favorite chess book.
Oh, favorite chess book. I think I have. It depends on your level, but I still love my first book of tactics. It's Encyclopedia of Tactics. For as I said, I was a tactical player, and I like the games of Mikhail Tal. That was one of my favorite players. Yeah, but I would say the book mainly for me was the tactic books. But there are many others now in strategy, as Jen mentioned, Dorowski. And games are also good, but I will go for the tactic books.
Love it. Yeah, I love tactics books too. And Madison, you wanted to share something about your own training.
So my regimen every day is at least 10 tactics of the tactics that my coach
Fidel Corrales gives me and recommends. And I do 2 games on Wii Chess, and I do, he is from Cuba, and I do Endgame.
Perfect. Yeah, I know Fidel Corrales. That's a great advice. I will share that with the girls in Colombia. So, una recomendación es hace 10 ejercicios de táctica, 2 partidas al día, y eso es lo que su entrenador le ha recomendado como para calentamiento.
Wonderful. So before we sign off, can you tell us, Nadya, your favorite chess phrase in Spanish?
Favorite what?
Your favorite chess phrase in Spanish.
Chess phrase.
Or any of our friends.
Well, right now I have to say there is one player from Spain that he do this rat-ta-ta-ta-ta. I don't know if you have seen the videos. He's it's in Spanish mainly, but I love that he do this. He narrated chess games as it was a soccer game. So he started, playing making great moves, and he says rat-ta-ta-ta-ta in Spanish. So I think that becomes my favorite one. I just want one thing the last thing to share, Jen, and it was just, can you see the screen there, Jen?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let's see. It looks like just one thing at the. It doesn't want to show, but okay. Wait. This is my lessons that, I hope you take away this is, keep the faith and keep the patience. Look for tactical threats and be ready when your opponent make a blunder, right? We all make mistakes. So I also take the risk, and I hope you enjoy this class. I am so thankful to be here. I want to thank Jennifer because she's doing such an amazing job on promoting chess for women. And for you girls, this is such a great opportunity. I feel so proud every time I see girls playing chess. And if you have any question, please, I can share my email, and I'm always willing to help. It was a pleasure for me to be here with you girls.
Wow. Muchas gracias. Everybody's saying how much they love the class, Nadya. And of course, I think it was also the contributions of your friends from Colombia, your students, and your dad. So great job.
Perfect. So thank you very much. I love that everyone was here.
Muchas gracias a todos.
Gracias.
Adiós.
Adiós.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Adiós.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Adiós.